Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Just How Good Is the Line 6 Helix, and today I'm doing the results reveal of the results reveal video. That doesn't really make any sense, but it does when you know that in the last results reveal video, I put in another blind test. And the one we're talking about specifically is the one where I used the real Revv Generator 100R amp that's sitting right over here off camera that I can reach out that you can't see, and comparing that to the Revv Generator Red model that we have in the Helix. So I did a little reamp track back and forth. We got the results. A lot of people couldn't really, guess accurately. It was pretty much a split up the middle. Half the people thought the Helix was A, half the people thought the Helix was B, and so on and so forth. You can go back and watch the results of that video. But in that reveal video, I threw in a second test that a lot of folks had asked for. They said, I want to hear those same tracks, but in a mix. So I did just that, but I threw a little bit of a wrench into it, and I added a third tone. Now, anybody who watched the previous video knows that I used, within the Torpedo Remote software, one of the Revv cabinets, particularly the 112 with a warehouse, I believe it's an EP90 speaker. Well, I just so happened to have that cab sitting right over there. So I thought, how cool would it be to mic those same settings on the Revv Generator, record it through that cab. Obviously, I didn't have the same microphones. I used a Sterling Audio ST170 ribbon mic. One of my favorite ribbon mics, actually. Very budget conscious, but really great results out of it. And I thought, it's not going to sound anything close to the other two sounds. And I thought it's going to be really easy for folks to be able to differentiate between them. But I threw it in there so folks could hear it, and I'll play those back for you in a second. I didn't get the number of results from this one I wanted. What actually happened is, I think the next day after I did the test, Helix firmware 3.1 dropped. And basically everybody's attention shifted away from anything else, as did mine. I actually forgot that I even did this video. It dawned on me today. I was like, I better do a results reveal video for those who want to see it. So anyways, but so yeah, I've been putting out 3.1 videos, and I thought I would come back and revisit this. So very few votes on it, but they were interesting nonetheless. But it was more about just letting you hear what they sound like in a mix, and also letting you hear what these sound like not going through, an impulse response or a digital recreation of a cabinet. How about we just go right to the real source and hear what that sounds like? So without further ado, let's go over and see what the results were. So the actual results were that Mix A was the real Revv amplifier through the Torpedo Remote. Mix B was the real Revv amp through the real speaker cabinet. And Mix C was the Helix. Now, of the few votes that we had for this, 3 people chose A as the Helix, 2 people chose B as the Helix, and 2 people chose C as the Helix. As far as guessing which one was the real cab, 2 people chose the real cab as being A, Mix A, and 4 people chose the real cab as being Mix B, which was correct. Now, as far as preference goes, this was really interesting. 1 person preferred Mix A, nobody preferred B, which was the real cabinet, and 3 people preferred C. So how interesting is that? Nobody liked the real cabinet, right? Nobody liked the real amp through the real cab. Now, to be fair, I kept the settings on the Revv Generator amp the same when I put it through the cabinet. I moved the microphone around very briefly just to kind of get it where I thought, okay, it's working there. If I was really recording that in a real world situation, I likely would have tweaked the amp settings, maybe move the mic around a little different depending on what mix it was in. I don't know. It's hard to say. And I also didn't post-process these in any way. I didn't add any EQ or anything after the fact. So again, I probably would have tweaked that in a mix. So this is just a raw guitar tone coming straight out of that real speaker, but pretty interesting. So let's take a look and a listen. So here you'll see, first of all, what I did is I used, as always, Superior Drummer 3, my absolute favorite piece of software for doing drums, and I'm using the amazing Rock Foundry SDX. And the drums on this, here, I'll just solo those out so you can hear those. The drums on this sounded like so. So great stuff there. For bass, I used the metal EBX. And the way that this all sounded was this. All right, and that was that. So get rid of those. And then we have our mixes. Here we have mix A, Revv with the Torpedo, mix B, Revv with the real speaker, and mix C, Helix. So let's play through these. I'll go through one cycle of each, flipping to the next one as we go along, and then I'll go through kind of just splicing between them as we go so you can hear the differences. I think it's obvious that the real speaker sounds the most different of all of these, which is to be expected. It's really not, I believe I mic'd in the Torpedo Remote software. I used a recreation of an SM50. Oh no, I think it was a Sennheiser 421 mic. I'd have to go back and check that again. And our R121 ribbon mic. And in the real world example, I used one ribbon mic that isn't the same as the 121. In fact, I would compare this one as being closer to like M160 maybe. If I had to come up with a comparison. So anyways, here is the sound of the mix with the real Revv amp through the Torpedo. Then I'll go to the real Revv amp through the real speaker cabinet, and then I'll go on the third listen through the Helix. And there you have it. So, my conclusion is that, I think I'm at a point where I don't know if I would ever really go to the trouble of getting my real guitar cab out, setting up a microphone or a couple microphones, positioning those microphones, getting them right where I wanted, tweaking everything to get the tone, having to have a somewhat quiet environment so nothing bleeds into the microphones, having to worry about the acoustic qualities of the room I'm in affecting what's going down onto, tape. I think what I'm hearing here, and by a lot of people's preference, they just really like the sound of either the Helix or the Revv through the Torpedo Remote or through an IR or through the stock cabs or whatever it might be. It allows us to so quickly and effortlessly get great, amazing tones right out of the box that we can, even tweak after the fact to get it to sit exactly how you want it in the mix or whatever situation you're using it in. So, again, I say it all the time, what a great time to be a guitar player and a live or recording musician as we have these world-class tones sitting at our fingertips effortlessly. I just finished a session, a couple sessions recently, and I just go straight to my Line 6 Marketplace presets. I used my Metal Through the Decades preset for a tone. The client was super happy. The mix comes back. They tell me over and over again, I didn't even touch it in the mix. It is what it is. I've used my Nashville preset pack for some country sessions. I've used, so I just grabbed that and I'm up and running in minutes, and I get probably, I would say, better results and a bunch of happy clients when I send the session through. So fun stuff. It's a really good time to be a musician and a guitar player specifically. So I hope that was enjoyable. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that. I'm gonna have another interesting video coming up next week, kind of sort of along these lines and a little bit of an extension on this topic. Anyways, watch out for that probably on Monday of next week. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great weekend as it's Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Please like the video, share it with anybody who you think would get some use out of it or enjoy it. And please subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell notification to get notified when I put new content out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll be back really soon. Ciao for now.